This is the PressBox High School Football Show with Booker Corrigan and legendary former McDonough coach Dom Damico. The guys look over everything going on in the world of high school football, both at the private school and public school level. Now, here's Booker Corrigan.
How's it? What a great weekend of high school athletics. Championships going on all over the county, everywhere. Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Harford County. Teams peaking and playing their best. I'm Booker Corrigan, and we are coming to you from the Live Casino Hotel Studios. Thank you so much to the U.S. Army, Wise Markets, and, of course, Glen Burnie Transmissions, our sponsors. Coach Damico joining me. Coach, you saw some good football. I got to start, though, with some amazing field hockey that I watched yesterday. Wow. We're hockey guys, and we've alluded to a little hockey stuff on the show, so bear with me. Garrison Forest, their fourth championship in 10 years. They took down Spalding. Spalding played amazing. Garrison Forest finds a way to win 1-0. Riley McComas gets the ball from Riley Petro. Two Rileys connecting on the game winner. They take home the championship. Crucial play. 3 minutes to go in the game, and a freshman, Alyssa Cabasco, the goaltender, looked like Dougie Favell.
Oh.
Spalding player.
Not Rogie Vachon.
Not Rogie Vachon. She looked like Doug Favell. Bernie Perron.
Right.
So Spalding player gets the ball about 5 yards from the goal. Prime scoring spot. And she makes a kick save. Low to the glove.
Oh.
Big kick save. It was phenomenal. Very blown away. My little buddy Macy Miller played incredible. The thing that I learned in field hockey is that ball's really hard, and these girls have courage like you don't even understand, because they get down low. That ball's coming at their face, or they're going to have a stick, and those sticks are hard. I was blown away by the senior leadership. A bunch of great players. Danny Mendez played amazingly well. Ella Kakinis, obviously great. C.A. Donner, C.D., and, of course, Cam Mettinger, a sophomore center back. Ellie Bossy, Sid Townsend played well. And Malcolm Bellin taking home the coach for Garrison Forest. I had a chance to, spend some time with him after the game. Super individual, great team. Congratulations to the Grizzlies. Big year for the seniors, and I'm sure they are enjoying celebrating every minute of that. So, and if you want your team to be the shout-out next week, just all you got to do is reach out to me.
Yeah, and I look forward to driving up Garrison Forest Boulevard and seeing their big sign out there that's going to say the Grizzlies won the championship. So.
2019 A-Conference Field Hockey Champions. Congratulations to them. Great year. Great year. I'm making sure I got all the names in that I was reported on, but a great, great win. Fourth championship in 10 years. Now let's get to some football. You get some parent stuff that we alluded to a little bit out. So what do you want to tell the parents this week?
Yeah, really, I wanted to kind of focus just on saying that I think as a parent, I think you need to make sure your son is a leader in something. If he's on the football team, for example, and he's the team captain, well, then that's his job. He's going to lead a football team. He's going to get those leadership skills to lead 40, 50, 60 players, communicate to adults, coaches, and that's where if your son's not the captain of the team, well, then he needs to be maybe the leader of the special teams group.
Yep.
Be the best special teams player you can be. Get those leadership qualities there. If you're not the best special teams player, be the best demo player you can be. Take charge of that group. Take ownership of that group. Learn the skills there. If you're not good enough to be that, then you know what? Start a tutoring program after school in subjects that you're strong with and help other players that are weaker. Take the leadership role. Learn what it takes to be a leader, to organize kids, to be in charge of something and do a really good job with that. So I think that's important. Parents, make sure that they're just not always following.
Yep.
Now, I think it's also important to be a good follower.
Yep.
So in my world, my son is going to be a leader in something, and he's going to learn those skills, and then he's going to learn to be a good follower in things that he's not leading.
And follow the right people.
You do it. Parents, your kids are really going to. If you want to figure out what your kid's doing, find who their friends are.
Yep. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are.
You have to do that as a parent. You shouldn't be just listening. I'm going here. I'm going there. I mean, I think just figure out who the friends are, invite them over, meet them, meet their parents, and then I think you're doing all your due diligence, and you can rest your head at night knowing that your son's with good people.
And one of the other sayings that I was raised on was lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
I like that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Big George Corrigan gave me that one. We have Mount St. Joe head coach Rich Holzer calling in this week, and he's got a big matchup against Calvert Hall. Shout out to my man Michael McNelly for Calvert Hall. We will talk about him in a little bit. But we do have Rich Holzer joining us. They have a huge one. They beat Franklin this year, by the way. I know you were probably on for that one.
Oh, they did. They're a very good ball club, no doubt. They really exploded this week, though.
Coach Holzer, thanks so much for joining us here on the high school football show on PressBox. Love to have you. How'd you feel about your team?
Anytime.
How'd you feel about your team in the regular season? What'd you learn about them?
We're still a young team. We have a few seniors. We only have like 12 seniors graduating. So we knew it was going to be a good team. We just didn't know how far along we've come so far because most of these guys have been starting since they were freshmen and sophomores on varsity. So it was just a matter of, how far along have we come and how quickly we can gel.
Coach, this is Coach Damico. Obviously, you guys played us a couple weeks ago, and I was really impressed with your quarterback, and obviously another huge game against Spalding. Can you talk to us about him?
Yeah, Billy's a great kid. He's really worked at his craft. We put him through our quarterback training program for 3 straight years. That begins in February, runs through the months of February, March, and April. We give him a break and rest his arm before the 7-on-7 season hits in May. And, he's just taken to it. He's a real smart kid, very football savvy, and really picks up on what, the little things that we're asking him to do. Especially, I know, Coach, you had a pretty successful passing offense, and you know how hard that is to train those quarterbacks and how much time and how much time is invested in that as opposed to, running ISO and stuff like that, which there's nothing wrong with that. But Billy does a great job and really works hard at it.
Yeah, no doubt. I was really impressed with his poise in the pocket. His decision-making is incredible. He's going through progressions. You guys are just doing a great job coaching him and definitely bringing him on and developing him.
Coach Rich Holzer from Mount St. Joe, our guest here on the PressBox High School Football Show. Coach, you're getting first round of the playoffs, and you guys have Calvert Hall. What are you looking for out of your squad as they prepare for this game?
It's their first time in a real playoff setting, so, we're looking for them to, kind of show some maturity and understand, how you have to prepare in the playoffs. That's the one thing I think we have a good advantage on is a large majority of my staff came from, the public school ranks and has been there before, with all the state playoffs and making the deep runs and things like that. So I think we have a good idea and a good plan, on how to mitigate some factors that flare up with playoff football. It's just a matter of getting the kids to understand that the practice changes a little bit. It may not be as physical, may not be as long, but it needs to be intense mentally as opposed to physically.
Yeah, Coach, most of the people really spend a lot of time talking about your quarterback, your running back, and your 4 receivers, but I was also really impressed with your 5 offensive linemen. They did a great job against Franklin when we played. Really well-coached group. Can you talk to us about the offensive line?
Well, I appreciate it because I'm the O-line coach.
Awesome.
There we go.
It's kind of unique. The head coach coaches the offensive line. But no, they're good kids. They really take to coaching well. And the one thing that they've really come a long way with is physical toughness. They are very, have kind of a chip on their shoulder. They weren't the most recruited kids out of high school and things like that. They're a little bit short, so they're not the most recruited kids in college football either. But they play for each other. We do a lot of intensive drill work, technique stuff that I took from my old O-line coach, and combine that with some of the stuff I've picked up along the years. And the big thing is I've sold them on is being physically and mentally tough, because I think that's the key for offensive line, even more so. Technique will get you there, but if you're not physically and mentally tough at the offensive line position, it's not going to go. And that's one thing that they are, and I'm proud of them for that because they're young. That whole offensive line comes back except for the left tackle.
Wow, yeah, that's important. You can have tons of skill guys and a great quarterback, but if you don't get blocking, it goes down the drain pretty quickly.
Coach Rich Holzer, our guest from Mount St. Joe, joining us. Coach, you guys are going up against Calvert Hall. What are you expecting from Calvert Hall in the playoff game?
I think we're expecting all the stops pulled out. I'm sure they weren't happy about the result earlier in the season. It's a really closely contested game. We were lucky enough to come out on top, and I know Coach Davis and them do a great job preparing their guys. I fully expect, all the stops to be pulled out. I expect to see, some stuff they haven't done before, and their kids to be really fired up. They get a chance to return the favor, and beat us on our home field. But we got to come out and play our game, play physical, play fired up, and just execute.
Well, great, Coach. Well, we really appreciate you calling in. Good luck against Calvert Hall this weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
So great that high school coaches are able to take time away from their day to do things just to help us and help our listeners understand a little bit more about Mount St. Joe football, because they might not be able to get to those games.
Yeah, no doubt. Rich gets there early in the day. He's teaching multiple classes. He's dealing with kids, practice schedules, other coaches, JV team, broken helmets, headsets that need to be
Chin
fixed.
straps.
Parents calling, boosters calling, ADs calling. It's a incredible amount of time. These head coaches spend. I was with Coach Burgess this morning at 6 o'clock. He's already watching the tape. 7 o'clock, students are showing up for his first period. He's running around teaching classes and running on gators, bringing coolers in for practice. So, yeah, it's a lot of work for high school football coaches.
We are going to step away for a break, but when we get back, we're going to go through some of the playoff scenarios, some of the teams. We're going to recap some of last weekend's games, big rivalry games, so we'll have some of that. But don't go anywhere. This is the PressBox High School Football Show.
Need groceries today but don't have time to shop? Order online with same-day pickup or delivery at Wise Markets. Wise to go online. Now that's convenient.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple: to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Respect. It's more than a word. In the U.S. Army, it is one of our core values, earned through selfless service to our nation and making a difference both at home and abroad. On the Army team, respect is earned daily. And now, in addition to earning respect, you may earn up to $40,000 in bonuses if you qualify. To learn more, visit goarmy.com/bonus or call 1-800-USA-ARMY, paid for by the U.S. Army.
This is the PressBox High School Football Show, coming to you from the Live Casino Hotel Studio. Thank you so much to Wise Markets, Glen Burnie Transmissions, the U.S. Army, and the Annapolis Running Classic on November 16th. Coach Damico, 10K and a half marathon on November 16th, and you're in for neither. Is that correct? You will be running neither.
I'm training for the full marathon.
That's a good man. That's a good man. But thank you so much to our sponsors. Now, you said you had a great experience at the I-70 rivalry, Linganore-Urbana. Expand on that for us.
I did. I actually drove out there Friday night and watched the game, and was just really impressed with the watch. Great crowd, great student support. Both student sections were full, well-organized, marching bands. They actually had 8th graders from the middle school program's marching bands marching on the field with the varsity bands. Parents volunteering in the snack wagons, taking tickets, running concession stands. Both teams were well coached. The game was well refereed. The participants in the game there's no dirt, no trash talking, no cheap shots.
And this is a rivalry.
It's a big rivalry game. It was just a really good, healthy high school football Friday night. And I wish a lot of people that don't get a chance to experience that even just players and parents would go out there and watch how it's done, because I think Friday Night Lights at Linganore is exactly what people think it should be.
That's a great thing. And one of the things I always was puzzled by, but then once I played football for one season, you get it. You tackle a guy, and then you can't wait to reach down and help him up. Because you're kind of being sportsmanlike, but you're also letting him know, I got up before you, and now I'm going to help. I got so much energy right now, I'm helping you up, which is a nice thing to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, nice thing to do, but it's also you're letting him know that you were on your feet first. Curly John Carroll, what'd you like?
Well, there's some interesting things going on there. John Carroll and Curly obviously was for playoff seed in the B conference. Both those teams are going to make the playoffs. But what made that game special was, the 100th win for Coach Brinkman. Coach, really had a great stint at a different school prior to coming there, winning most of his games. But what makes it really special is his son is the quarterback of the team. So, for a long time, that's going to be talked about in that family. You win your 100th game, and your son's the quarterback. That's a special moment, and that's really what high school football is about.
High school athletics.
High school athletics, no doubt.
And that, like you said, for years they'll have passed the stuffing. How about that 100th win?
They'll be talking about it at every Thanksgiving, no doubt.
I had the pleasure of going to the McDonough-Gilman game. Great for me. I spent almost 20 years working at McDonough, so it's a fantastic place. Saw some of my old buds. My man Aaron Finkelstein. For the record, from 1967 until 10 years from now, there will have been a Finkelstein enrolled at McDonough School every year except for one.
Wow.
Is that crazy? That's dedicated. They love the place.
It's impressive.
They bleed orange over there at the Fink
no
House. The Fink House. So thank you very much to Aaron. He's a big fan of the show. Saw both the Hurdle boys and Aiden Hurdle, who is, in my mind, is a 7-year-old. He's a sophomore linebacker and a star for the McDonough Eagles. And they gave it to Gilman pretty good.
Always impressed with Hans Hurdle. He raised his sons the right way. They've been playing rec football since they're really tiny.
Yep.
He's a great parent, Hans.
They really are respectful kids. Andrew and Alex Hurdle. Alex, obviously a graduate of Notre Dame. Andrew now at UMBC playing Lacrosse. Let's talk City Poly. They've only faced off a couple times.
Yeah, it's kind of a short rivalry. They've only been playing for over 130 years, so it's crazy. But, City over Poly this year. But the rivalry, it's just something special. We're in a city, in a big city, an old city, so we're going to have them kind of rivalries. But not many cities in America have high school teams that have been playing for 130 years, and I think
phenomenal.
And I think that's special. And the kids that play in that game think it's special. That talk about Thanksgiving, conversation. If you play in the City Poly game, you're going to talk about that at Thanksgiving too.
Pass the stuffing,
no doubt.
Detroit Lions football,
yeah, Cowboys,
and gravy. Now let's get into some MIAA conference preview. McDonough Spalding, and then obviously Mount St. Joe Calvert Hall. Those are going to be some good games. There's going to be some physical high school football, and with more at stake now than there was the last time, is an advantage that they've already played once.
I think it is to some teams. Yeah, I think it's hard to beat a team twice. McDonough Spalding first time around, really close game, went into overtime and with a field goal beating them. So I think that's going to be close. Spalding just really got blown out by Mount St. Joe, so they're going to have some rivalry, on a get-back game for that. So that should be a great game. And then Mount St. Joe Calvert Hall, every one of their games is a tough physical game. Both of those teams are very physical. It's going to be difficult. Mount St. Joe's on a roll right now. You put up 49 points, and their quarterback threw for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game. They are on fire right now. They got it rolling. They're in rhythm. And when you get that passing attack in rhythm, it's tough to stop.
It'll be interesting to see. I know they have a linebacker over at Calvert Hall, Michael McNelly, who I mentioned Michael a lot. He's come back from 2 torn ACLs, and he's playing football, and he's actually going to Ohio State to play lacrosse. So it's nice. The multi-sport athlete, you coached so many of them at McDonough. Before we get into the public school playoff teams and seed and stuff of that, let's harp, and because I know we're probably on the same page. The multi-sport athlete, you learn so many valuable lessons from both sports and both coaches. I feel like it's such an advantage to have a team full of them.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
There's no doubt. Sport specialization right now, I think, is ruining high school sports, to be honest. Burnout at the college level, burnout at the high school level, injuries that are for repetitive use joints and bones and different things in that regard. But yeah, I think kids should play at least 2, and I played 3, and I think the Holmes family at McDonough played 3, and they were really good in all 3. So I think very important to not specialize. I think the only people, honestly, should be specialized or should be going down the specialized route is someone's going to offer you money to play that sport, and you know it. You know that you think it, but you know it. So, for example, LeBron James, he played football, and he played for his first 2 years. Allen Iverson played football.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
great quarterback.
John Thompson told Allen Iverson, you know what, you will not play football anymore, okay, son?
Oh, no,
you're
okay.
going to make $100 million in a sport, then you play that sport. Okay, I mean, you think Tiger Woods had his son being a running back for the team that he played for? No, he knew he was a special guy. Now that's for less than 0.1% of the people. Almost everybody else should play multiple sports.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about the super elite guys that they should. If someone's going to sign you to a very healthy contract and tells you we want you to just play soccer or just golf or just swim, then you need to do that. But if you're not one of those guys, you should play 2 and 3 sports.
And the example you gave of LeBron James playing football, I mean, he'd be a terrifying tight end still. And then you also have Allen Iverson, who played football for a little while. I mean, those are things that you're learning and you're getting better. People say to me, how can my son be better at lacrosse? Play football, play basketball.
There's no doubt.
You will improve vastly. So that's awesome. And also another thing, I'm sorry you weren't more of a diversified athlete. You only won 3 varsity letters in 3 sports? Or 4? Because I was 4.
Well, I did do a combination of my senior year baseball track.
Okay, yeah. Did you get a varsity letter in both?
I did.
So you were 4?
I did.
I was golf, hockey, lacrosse, and football.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have 4 sports. But I wasn't good at any of them. That's the problem.
It's pretty sad. I mean, I find it pretty sad to watch a kid that's an average kid. I'll pick on wrestling. It's an average wrestler, and the kid wrestles 12 months a year.
Yep.
Where obviously he could be, helping out on the football team, helping out on some teams,
any team,
any other team. So yeah, if you're an elite levels guy and you think you can make a career out of it and it's going to pay your bills, well then go for it. But if not, and that's probably almost everyone, then you need to play 2 and 3 sports.
That is everyone. Let's get MPSSA, the public school brackets. To go through the brackets would just take all day. There's some highlighted matchups that you liked. Let's get through those.
Yeah, what I really wanted to do is basically just say, this is the first year that the pubs now are going to invite 32 teams, which is a lot of football teams.
Yep.
So there's going to be some early mismatches. 1 and 8 and 2 and 7 are probably not going to be very close football games. I think the real playoff actions are going to start once we get into the 8 teams from each division, okay, the quarterfinals and semifinals. But basically what I wrote down was, the 4 different levels and some of the top teams in the MPSSAA this year. So in 1A, everyone talks about Fort Hill and Dunbar. I think they'll be 2 of the favorites to win. But then you got Catoctin, Gwynn Park, Loch Raven, and Cambridge all competing for the top honor for the state championship. And obviously right now I think Dunbar's the front runner.
And how about there's another team, let's wait for it. South River, Eddie Dolce.
Well, let's go back to Eddie. Eddie, again, finished 9-0. They are in the 3A division.
Yep.
And Eddie's going to be a number 1 seed in 3A. So
River Hill had a big one. Westminster's a 2 seed in the 3A East bracket. But it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down. I got South River in the 4A.
South River is in the 4A.
They're in the East, and they play Annapolis in the first round. Annapolis coming in at 3 and 6, so that'll be an interesting matchup. And, good luck to everybody who's getting a chance to play off football.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different deal. You get you win or you're done, and so that adds a little bit of difference to the mix. Milford, Mill, and Elkton, 2 in the 2. We've been talking about Elkton all year long.
Yep.
Elkton, again, finished undefeated, and, I foresee a Milford, Mill, Elkton championship game.
We got some Hartford Tech folks that love the show, so thank you so much for being a part of it. And Hartford Tech's in the playoffs, but Elkton did come in as the number 1 seed, finishing undefeated. Coach, last question. When you're getting your team ready for a playoff type or rivalry type game, what do you change? How do you escalate their sense of urgency prior to the game, or how do you rejuvenate it at halftime?
I don't think you have to. I think most of the kids realize the importance. I think if you have to do that in a rivalry game, your kids are behind. At McDonough and Gilman, when we played the Gilman's games, boy, those kids were ready to go Monday morning, and their focus and their intent was all week long ready to go. Playoff football, now I'm seeing at Franklin, these kids live for that. All these other games kind of lead up to this playoff atmosphere, this playoff push. They really want to go deep in the playoffs. They want to play in the state championship at Navy. They're fired up. You're going to see today at practice their energy level will be better. The coaches will be coaching harder. The kids will be playing harder. And I'm sure that's going to be true at all 120 Maryland Public School practices today.
It'll be interesting also to see and hear your take on, did you ever have to calm a team down before a game?
Oh, definitely. There's certain players. I don't know about a whole team, but there's definitely certain players that handle that stress and that differently. I could remember coaching one of my favorite kids and fathers, Lee Prim, our buddy Lee, and Matt would get so worked up before the games where he would almost not really know what was going on in the game plan, and he went to Harvard and played lacrosse, and his nerves got so to him that it took maybe the first 2 or 3 plays and to get him to calm down. And he's very calm all week. He knew the scheme. He's a very cerebral football player. And then boom, we get close to the kickoff, and he had a different look on his face. And then that's the kind of kid you got to calm down. So I think some kids need to be fired up, and some kids need to be calmed down.
Nothing wrong with that. Lee Prim, Carroll County Bank, great American.
Definitely.
Great American.
Love Lee Prim.
Spent some time out there with him up in Carroll County. Great American. So let's wrap it up. What advice do you have to any of the teams? Who do you think? Who do you like, or what would you tell them if you had a chance to talk to the River Hill team right now or the Westminster team? What would you let them know?
Well, you know what? Enjoy your high school experience. This is playoff football. It's not a life or death situation. So have fun, enjoy your buddies, play hard. After the game, shake hands.
And it's going to be over before you know it, too. That's the other thing.
Go so quick.
For Dom Damico, this is the PressBox High School Football Show. I'm Booker Corrigan, reminding you, you only get one shot at today.